Are you facing discouraging news today? Are you weighted down by fear? Does your soul long for a place of safety and rest? When life feels so overwhelming, when the storms of uncertainty and the sudden quakes of change and the crashing waves of fear threaten to sweep us away, we must know that there is a place of peace meant for us, promised in God's Word. Hi, and welcome back to Copying the Master, where we paint that what we see and copy Scripture to learn more about God. Today we are reflecting on the powerful words of Psalm 46, guided by Matthew Henry's 1706 commentary. This psalm is a psalm of comfort and hope. It calls us to fix our trust on God, on His sovereignty over all things, His mighty power, and His faithful presence, even in life's hardest moments, reminding us to give Him praise for what He has done and to trust Him for what He will do. Psalm 46 speaks to both our personal spiritual struggles and to the battles faced by Christ's kingdom in the world. It was said long ago that Martin Luther would often turn to Psalm 46 when facing discouraging news. He would say, "Come, let us sing the 46th Psalm." So as we copy and ponder on this psalm, may our hearts be open to hear the voice of the Lord and to also sing the 46th Psalm. The psalm begins with a declaration that sets the tone for the entire chapter, and what powerful words they are, worthy of committing to our memory. God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Here the commentator starts off by pointing us to three foundational truths about God. He is our refuge, our strength, and our help. When we feel pursued by troubles or danger, God is the safe place where we can run to for protection. In Him we can feel secure, and we have every reason to believe we are safe because He is dependable. He is our refuge. When we are burdened or facing challenges, God provides the strength we need to keep going. Whether it's bearing the weight of difficulties or taking on the tasks and battles in front of us, He equips us with grace and power to succeed. We can lean on Him for everything we need, for He is our strength. And when we are in distress, this psalm reminds us that God is ready to provide whatever we lack. He is a present help, always near, always reliable, and always sufficient for every need. He is not distant or hard to find. His help is ready and perfectly suited for every situation. Christ is the tried and true cornerstone, and like a tried and true foundation, He has never failed us. He is our ever-present help. Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam and the mountains quake with its surging. Take note of how terrifying the imagery is, the earth itself being torn from its place and thrown into the sea that is roaring and raging, mountains buried, kingdoms and nations in chaos, embroidered in wars, shaken by unrest, the church being persecuted. These are not light things. Yet, it is in the very midst of these events that Psalm 46 calls us to not fear, for God is greater. Matthew Henry's commentary states, as believers who have a deep reverence for God, we actually have a responsibility and a privilege to trust God and not be afraid. We are called to live a life without terror of the powers of the world or even of hell itself, as long as we stay close to God and know He is with us. This kind of fearlessness shows that we have a clear conscience, an honest heart, and a strong faith in God's care, His plan, and His promises. Therefore, we can say with confidence, we will not fear, even if the earth itself is removed, even if everything we've relied on crumbles beneath us. Isn't that empowering? We can stand on the rock higher than ourselves. God's promises are unshakable, no matter the storm around us. But if our treasures and hopes are in the things of this world, then we do have every reason to fear. The psalm shifts tones with verse 4. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God. Matthew Henry notes that this river may refer to the waters of Siloam, a small, quiet stream that flowed through Jerusalem. While it wasn't deep or wide, those waters served as a defense for the city during Hezekiah's reign. Yet this river is best understood as a spiritual symbol. The covenant of grace is the river, and its promises are the streams. Spiritual comforts often come softly and silently, like gentle whispers, not with loud displays or fanfare. Yet, these quiet assurances from God are more than enough to outweigh the loud and threatening voices of a hostile and angry world. Or it could represent the Spirit of grace, as in John 7:38 and 39, whose comforting presence flows into the lives of God's people, bringing them joy even in dark days. Most importantly, God Himself is described as a place of broad rivers and streams for His church in Isaiah 33:21. Even when everything around it seems to crumble, even if heaven and earth are shaken, God's church remains secure. Just like it says in verse 5, God is within her, she will not fall. Matthew Henry describes how God has promised His church His special presence and His active care. His own honor is tied to her well-being, for He has set His dwelling place among her people. Therefore, the church will not be destroyed or shaken by fear, for God will help her exactly at the right time. We must know again that this truth doesn't just apply to the church as a whole, but also to individual believers. If God's presence is in our hearts and His word dwells richly within us, we too are secure. We will be firmly established, helped in every situation, and delivered in God's perfect timing. So let us place our trust in Him without fear. No matter how dark the night may seem, the dawn will come. With God by our side, all will be well, and it will all end well. As the psalm continues, we see that God is both the King of nations and the King of His people. God governs the world according to His will, and no one can challenge His authority or question what He does. The commentator states that this truth reminds us that peace and war are not determined by human leaders or armies, but by God's sovereign will. When His sword is drawn, no one can stand up against Him. And with His sheet, the chaos subsides, and He crowns the nations with rest. Through both judgment and peace, God's power is displayed, and His purposes are accomplished. Those who fear Him can take comfort, knowing that He is in control of every situation, even when the world seems at its most chaotic. This can be hard to understand, but are we meant to understand everything? What we are called to do is believe, to trust Him and be still. This being still leads us to one of the Psalm's most famous verses. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. Matthew Henry points out that this verse is both an invitation and a command. For believers, it's a call to rest, to stop striving, and to remember that God is in control. God will be exalted above all nations. He will take care of His honor, fulfill His plan, and protect His interests in the world. For unbelievers, it's a warning to cease opposition and acknowledge God's sovereignty. How often do we strive and worry and try to fix things in our own strength? This verse here calls us to step back, take a breath, and remember that God is in control. He holds the whole world in His hands, and that includes you and me.
You are faithful. when we are lost in pain, we cry out your name, and you are faithful, faithful through all things. You are faithful, faithful through all things.
The psalm concludes with a triumphant declaration. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. These words are a celebration. The God, the Lord of hosts, the one who commands all creation of heaven and earth, is on our side. He stands by us, works with us, and has promised He will never leave us. He is the God of Jacob, not just Jacob the person, but the whole people of Jacob. The God of all those who pray, all who wrestle with God in faith like Jacob. He is our refuge, our shelter and security, so we don't need to fear as long as the Lord of hosts is with us. Through His will, He protects us from external dangers, and by His grace, He calms our minds and gives us peace when we are afraid. This is a promise that includes everything, and it's worth saying Selah, to pause and to reflect on it. Remember this and take comfort in it. For if God is with us, who can be against us? Psalm 46, for the director of music of the sons of Korah, according to the Alamoth, a song. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, even though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea, though its waters roar and be troubled, though the mountains shake with its swelling. Selah. There is a river whose streams shall make glad the city of God, the holy place of the tabernacle of the Most High. God is in the midst of her, she shall not be moved. God shall help her just at the break of dawn. The nations raged, the kingdoms were moved. He uttered His voice, the earth melted. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Selah. Come, behold the works of the Lord, who has made desolations in the earth. He makes war cease to the end of the earth. He breaks the bow and cuts the spear in two. He burns the chariot in the fire. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Selah. As we close our time in Psalm 46, I pray your heart has found encouragement. This psalm is a powerful reminder to trust in God's sovereignty, rest in His presence, and find security in Him alone. Whether we're facing external turmoil or internal struggles, we can rely on Him as our refuge, strength, and ever-present help. We can also look at the psalm in a different way. Just as an artist steps back to appreciate the beauty of their work, so we are invited to pause and appreciate the beauty of God's work in our lives. He is the one who holds all things together, who brings peace in the midst of the storm, and is always ever present to help us in the times of need. Thank you for joining me today. If this psalm has blessed you, would you share it with someone else? If you are interested in the detailed commentary of the psalm, please see the link in the description box. Thank you for all your open hearts and comments of encouragement. It truly is a blessing to be able to serve you. May God bless you as you seek Him and glorify Him in all that you do.